a second.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun,
Okay.
dun, 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 dun,
All right.
dun, dun.
They can now see us. We're live.
You're very subdued
Yeah.
and low key here.
Yeah, man. I got like the chill coffee today, man, and it's like awesome.
Did you get the what is it they can put into the coffee now over there?
CBD.
CBD. Did you
Yeah.
get the CBD put into your coffee?
I did. The funny thing is, right now everything is jumping around, and it's like everything's in the wrong button right now.
Well, Dave's a little flustered, but
What else is
well,
new?
the app spot's not even working. I've been picking everybody up over there, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. So I don't know, Dave, if you knew this, but in high school, besides playing high school basketball with you, one of my favorite subjects was broadcast communications. And I swore that I was going to be a broadcast journalist in some way, shape, or form. And so whenever we go to downtown Chicago, my wife makes fun of me because I want to stand outside the State Street studio of ABC7
Sure.
and watch them do a news broadcast.
Oh yeah.
And quite often, like when you get to watch them enough, which I'm a nerd and like to do, like at the very last second, they slide into their seat and they're like, let's go.
Yeah.
And I felt like today I was like, at the very last second, I went and had to get a pen and had to get, print up a new sheet here. And I was like, it's kind of like I'm on ABC7, just slide into my seat.
And they never look flustered, and I will try to not look flustered. Here's the thing. Every week it's something different that happens with our setup. I mean, we're here. We're on time. Because we're awesome, but not saying it doesn't make us sweat a little bit. I don't know what's going on with that other camera. I'll play with it here as we go. But
Well, we can just use this one. It looks great. I mean, we'll figure it out.
I got it working. We're good.
Now,
Yeah.
we changed the week for this. Last month's Java with Josh, which was March.
Sure.
You had a slide up there that said our next Java with Josh is April 16th.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's not.
Nope.
Because we're going to spend Easter in Florida with my parents, which my family's looking forward to.
Yeah.
But last week was spring break. And I know, I'll let you tell your story here in a second, but I had the privilege of spending spring break with my family, which I haven't done in a long time because I'm usually working during spring break. And now my wife has had this creative idea that she wants to at least take the kids away for a few days. A lot of their friends are going to really awesome places like the Bahamas and Palm Springs and all these things. I know. So last year she took them to Indianapolis. I think we talked about it in Java with Josh. They had a great time. And this year they decided they were going to go to the Mall of America.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I was not excited to go to the Mall of America, but I was excited to spend a few days with my family. And so I'm kind of got, you got the both sides weighing you out here. We had a fantastic time. We drove up Tuesday morning. We had a great drive. We stopped at the Wisconsin Dells and did like this adventure thing. I don't know what it was called. It's called Wizard Quest, and it was actually quite nice. And then we spent 2.5 days in a hotel attached to the Mall of America. And I forget what pictures I sent you.
I have up the Zach in the human claw machine.
Oh yeah. So Missy looks at all the things they have at the Mall of America, and she finds they have a human claw machine. And like most kids their age, if they go to an arcade, they will spend a small fortune on a human claw machine. So each kid decided they were going to be a part of the human claw machine. It costs $20 each time you have your kid do a human claw. But they're guaranteed to get something. Now, when I say get something, it is a 50-cent blow-up alien.
Yeah.
Or a 50-cent, but you can see it there. Zach just loved it. They all loved it.
Yep.
They say it was their favorite thing. It took all of 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like any good claw machine did, but it was pretty funny to see it.
The other picture is great, too. Outside the stadium.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Maggie's getting her arm eaten by the bear.
We went to the Minnesota Twins home opener. Now, I've been in numerous Chicago Cubs home openers, and for a long time, my father had season tickets. And it's always been a great time, but you always think it's hard to get into. And so we found tickets to go to the Minnesota Twins home opener. We sat about 12 rows up off of first base. And for the 5 of us to go, I want to say we spent $120 in tickets. And
Fantastic.
we had a great time. The weather wasn't fantastic. We made it 6 innings, but it was just a great, like, exploring Minneapolis was a lot of fun. So,
How was the food at the stadium?
what do we eat at the stadium? The kids had, we just had stadium, nothing crazy. The kids they have their own root beer there. They're Harmon Killebrew, who apparently is a famous
Twin player.
makes his Killebrew root beer.
Cool.
And so the kids had that. I had peanuts. I love peanuts at a stadium.
Oh, gosh,
and
the best.
Missy bought some popcorn for the kids. So we didn't do anything crazy. But
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I found a random peanut shell like on my kitchen island. Was that you, perhaps?
It could have been. There's nothing better than sitting at a baseball game eating shelled peanuts. It's just.
I know, and the chucking them on the ground, not worrying about it. So I'd like to put some up on the screen here from our lovely Mr. Brian Simzak. He's at home slacking. He's not here helping us set up, and he's like, "Take a deep breath, Dave. You got to be." Can you say something about this? I don't know what does he even do? He should be at work right now.
Brian, congratulations on the birth of your daughter.
Oh,
I wasn't going to show that. I was going to wait till next month to share that. But yeah, our FSR Wealth family is expanding as Brian's having more children. Actually, Brian didn't do anything. His wife did everything. But Brian, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, what a sweetheart that guy is. All right, moving on from Brian. He's overrated.
How was your spring break?
Great. So Carla and I, my wife, my lovely wife and I, we got away, just her and I. We went down to the motherland, her motherland, which is Puerto Rico, or Puerto Rico, as us gringos say. We went down 4 nights, and we stayed in San Juan, and it was awesome. Picture here, we're in front of, we're at the top of Viejo San Juan, which is Old San Juan, which is beautiful. Just bright colored buildings, super small, cobblestone streets. Beautiful. And then we also did a mixology class at the Bacardi plant, which we haven't been there in over a decade. And that was a ton of fun. So we give the tour of the Bacardi plant, right? And then you get a cocktail, of course, while you're in this little shuttle bus. And then they teach you to make 2 of their famous drinks. We did a mojito and a jungle bird, they called it. Or island bird, I think.
Okay.
Best mojito we've ever made. So, of course, we got home, bought all the ingredients, and made it. It is perfect.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it didn't taste nearly as good.
No, it was perfect. In fact, when we do our next happy hour with Josh, I am going to ask you to let me make
you
the drinks.
actually, I know how excited you were because you came back and that's the first thing you said. We better do another cocktail video.
So delicious. It was awesome. Yeah, but great spring break, man. So
good.
Yeah.
Let's talk compliance real quick.
Yeah,
we got to do that. We're 5 minutes in. We haven't talked about anything that could be compliant yet.
Well, there we go, Brian. Here we go.
Everything you're about to see here is for informational purposes only, and it is not designed to be specific advice. We're happy to give you specific advice, but that requires a one-on-one consultation with us. So.
Yep, and then that leads us into, what the heck are we doing here? What is Java with Josh? I think most of y'all who are on us right now, we're up to 40,000 live viewers.
That's because Brian keeps having babies.
Oh, Lord. Java with Josh, a monthly live show that we post on YouTube, and the world needs more Josh Bretl. So we're going to give them more Josh Bretl. And I would like to say a few days before we go live, but literally it's a few minutes before we go live. Josh is like, I got a great topic to talk about. It's super timely, super relevant.
No. I've been thinking about this topic for a week now.
Ooh.
And it's just a very timely topic because it's going fast.
Yeah, and I think I know what the topic is. So that's Java Josh's. And you can watch all our replays on our YouTube channel. And speaking of YouTube channel, I got to say it.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, from our tax director, Mike Lee. He loves to say, Dave, like and subscribe. So, hey, I want to be one of those guys. But every time you like this video, YouTube likes it even more, and it dump our video into the algorithm. So
yesterday, Alex had a rough day. Something didn't go his way at school. And so after school, Missy said, Al, why don't you watch 10 minutes of TV? And she had to drive Maggie somewhere. And so I sat and hung out with him for 10 minutes, and he watched this YouTube show, and it's this chef who I actually like quite a bit. But the number of times in 10 minutes that I heard like and subscribe was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the fact that you say it 2 or 3 times
Not bad.
doesn't seem so bad. No.
That's excellent. All right, cool. Moving along here. So upcoming shows, I redesigned the slide a little bit. Oh, you can't see what
I can't see.
camera I'm
I have
on.
no idea what's going on
So I'm
here.
showing the upcoming slides. All right, so our next one is May 14th. Then we got June 11th and July 9th scheduled. There's a really pretty new little slide I made.
Hey, do you want to know what July 9th is?
What is it?
My mom's birthday.
Oh, Chris. Happy birthday, Mom, in 3 months. All right. Well, we'll still make it. Maybe she can be our guest that day. Now, Josh, I am showing the new and improved radio show slide. Beautiful. New animation. You'll love it when you see it.
I'm sure I'll love it.
Tell them all about the radio show, would you?
Every Saturday, I do a show with my co-host, Mark Elliott. And these are shows all designed for retirees. It's called the Own Your Retirement Radio Show. It's talking about a lot of the things that we talk about to you, our clients, on a more general level. And so it's from 7 to 8 a.m. on Saturday mornings on WLS 890 a.m. I highly encourage you to tune in.
Yeah, I tune in every Saturday morning. Brian, Pradeep says congratulations. I just put it up on screen in case you're just listening and not watching. You have many people congratulating you. Josh, why do we do what we do? The mission statement's up.
This is one of my favorite things to talk about. I have no idea which camera I'm supposed to look at, so I'm just going to look in between the two cameras and look at nobody the whole time.
Look at the big one.
The big one. I love talking about what we do. It is our privilege to help retirees make retirement the best part of their life. And I always talk about the fact that it is something that we look forward to, even as young as a child. You hear about retirement and how great it's supposed to be, and you hopefully watch your loved ones go through it, and you look forward to this time. And if we can play a small part in making retirement the best part of your life, it makes us feel very good here at FSR. And you should know that when there are certain ones of us here in the office that are more client-facing. We get to interact with the clients and there's certain people that don't get to interact as much with you. And so we will often share a lot of your stories with our team internally. And it's not a privacy issue. We actually want them to know for a few reasons. One is it allows them to provide better service as they know what's going on in you and your life. And two is they take a lot of pride in that. And so as we share good stories of things that you're able to accomplish, it makes our whole team here feel really good. So
Here. Take a deep breath. Let's cheers to the camera.
Cheers.
Cool. All right. I think.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Is that the hoodie that you bought accidentally at Kohl's when you forgot to put a shirt on to come to work one day?
It's not like I forgot to put a shirt on. I just had a Bluey t-shirt on, and I may have forgotten to dress myself that morning. Correct. Thank goodness Kohl's is like a mile away.
Well, thank you for putting your nice hoodie on for Driving with Josh today.
It's Sunday's best. All right, Josh, let's get going here.
All righty. Today is a topic that is kind of creating itself. When Dave talks about the timeliness that is necessary for Java with Josh and why we do this, there is nothing more timely than what's going on right now. And I sent an email out this weekend to our clients talking a little bit about what's going on. And I made the joke that whenever I seem to travel and go out of town, and when I do that, I like to disconnect and not look at my work email and not think about what's going on. The market tends to get extremely volatile. And that is nothing, there's nothing new inside of that. So what you see on the screen here, if it's on the screen, I don't know if it's on the screen or not, is our Own Your Retirement Planning process. And as we look at this, the Own Your Retirement Planning process, there's 5 components to it, and they're all equally as important. Where is your money going to come from? Taxes, I'm going to get back to the second one here in a second, healthcare, and legacy and estate planning. Now, when people think of financial advisors and they think what's going on, for the most part, they're always thinking about this investments and wealth protection component to it. And today, that is where I want to focus. But I want to draw your attention back to why we're focusing on that is because, as my father has said for years and years and years, retirement planning is nothing more than income planning. You have this pile of money, which is investments and wealth protection, that you as a retiree need to turn into income. And it's different amounts of income for everyone that's listening to this, but we have to turn it into income. And so how are we going to do that? And these are all relative here. Now, what is the big news that's going on? Last week when I was gone, this happened. And this is now a famous image on the internet, and there's all sorts of things about this. President Trump called on Wednesday, what did he call it? Liberation Wednesday, or I don't know, whatever
Lord knows what it was.
I love how politicians create names for things. But he decided that he was going to enact across-the-board tariffs on anything that we import into our economy. And these tariffs have had a ripple effect. Ripple is the wrong word. A giant wave effect. I'm not going to call it a tsunami yet. That has been impacting the markets quite a bit. So I want to talk a little bit about this. And now, before I get into this, I want you to know that what my opinion on tariffs are. And this is my opinion as someone who loves economics, who's someone who has spent a lot of time looking into economics. I am by no means an economist, but as someone who looks a lot at stuff like this, I am a big believer in free trade. I am a big believer in the fact that the more that we can incorporate free trade into our economy, the better off our whole world is. And tariffs are the complete opposite of this. And I'm not alone in that belief. This is a very common economical belief that tariffs really don't serve a purpose. Now the problem is what President Trump is trying to address is the fact that other countries have imposed tariffs on us, and he's trying to make it quote unquote fair. Now, I'm not going to get into political arguments on this. This isn't a political thing. In fact, he's seen his own political party actually turn on him a little bit with these tariffs. So this is something that we have to see how it plays out. But Dave, today, as I was putting this together, there's a lot of things I'm going to pull back that I've actually talked about very recently on Java with Josh, but I want to reiterate it into kind of what's going on now. We did a whole episode on tariffs not that long ago. And actually, I'm going to pull a few slides in that I used just a month ago because it is very timely for what's happening right now. So cool?
Yeah.
Get excited.
I'm pumped.
All right, this is a new one. I found this one. This one's exciting, and I'm zooming in here. I don't even know what you see or don't see here, but I found this slide today as how do tariffs work? And I thought this was a great example of that because I'm trying to really make you understand exactly how do tariffs work. And as we zoom in here, as we look at it, the first thing you have to realize is tariffs are on things that are manufactured outside of the United States. So tariffs are things that, they don't happen on things that manufacture inside the United States, but it's things that are manufactured outside. Now, what happens is, let's say something gets manufactured in China, in Mexico, in Canada, you name the country, wherever it might get manufactured. In order to get here, it's got to get shipped in some way, shape, or form. Now, companies in the U.S. who are receiving that good, so whoever's receiving whatever was produced overseas, they are going to be imposed a tariff that has to be paid to the U.S. Treasury. So, for example, if Apple has producing iPhones in China or wherever they're producing iPhones, when they import those iPhones, Apple will be responsible for paying that tariff. Now, that tax goes to the U.S. Treasury, and the U.S. Treasury uses those funds for whatever the heck they're going to use those funds for. Now, as this slide is pointing out here, there are 3 ways that a company could handle those tariffs. The company could absorb the cost. They could just say, hey, all right, well, that's going to hurt our bottom line. Now, when I see that, this happens in multiple times. When all of a sudden the cost of oil goes up or the cost of something goes up, sometimes companies will absorb that, just try and take it in so they don't pass it on to the consumer. Sometimes they'll pass some of the cost on to the buyer. So they'll say, okay, this is, we're paying a higher cost, so we're going to pass some of this on to you. And sometimes they pass the full cost on. Now, I'm going to show you an example here, but what happens is, this bottom line is American consumers are going to generally pay a higher price. And this is a tariff on the import here. Now, what I worry about on this is the fact that they're going to pass cost on. Anytime the cost of goods rise, in order for a company to stay in business, they have to pass cost on, and that is going to raise prices. Now, there's another couple of things that we worry about on tariffs is, also these countries are now imposing retaliatory tariffs on us. Now, the funny thing is we're imposing retaliatory tariffs on them, they're imposing retaliatory. I mean, it's kind of like, Dave, you have one kid, and so maybe it's just you that fights with Landon, but in our house, the 3 kids bicker like crazy. And, I did that because he did that, and I did that because he did that. And it's, as a parent, you want to pull your hair out. And it kind of has that feel of, hey, we're imposing this tariff on you because you did it to us, and back and forth and back and forth. Now what happens is The idea behind this is that if things are more expensive, if they're produced somewhere else, we're going to produce them here, or we're going to try and find a way to produce them here. But at the same time, things that we produce here that we ship overseas, they're becoming more expensive to everybody else, and they're going to buy less. They're going to do different things so that they can do that, and that just kind of hurts everybody across the board. Now, moving on here, this is one of my favorite pictures. In fact, I listen to a fun podcast every now and then called Planet Money. It's put out by NPR. And it's a podcast where they talk about just real simple economic topics. It's not just designed for retirees, just simple economic topics. And a few months ago, they did one on tariffs, and they talked about how it would impact the cost of a cookie. The cookies that get made, which is kind of crazy because you think about the fact that most stuff that's baked here in the United States is made in the United States. I mean, our bakeries here in Chicago, we have a ton of them, and you would think, hey, well, that's not gonna be a tariff because it's manufactured here in the United States. We grow the grain, we do all that stuff, but there is a ton of things that just impact the simple act of baking that we have to be concerned about for tariffs. And this is just a really, really small subsect of what happens in our economy, and I want you to see this here. So if you look at this came from the American Bakers Association earlier this year. Between Canada, Mexico, and China, just the U.S. Bakery Association, Bakers and the U.S. Bakers Association imported over $2 billion of goods. So for the most part, I actually started writing this down, Mexico produces a lot of fruits and nuts. A ton of our sugar gets made in Mexico that we use inside of our baking products. Avocados. There's a lot of avocados and baking goods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Not here, apparently. Not in avocado world.
Sorry, guys.
There's a lot of dairy that comes from Canada. I mean, there's just a ton of things that get imported. And when you also add on top of that the cost of transportation, as oil prices go up, it costs more to transport these goods. So these are all things that these bakeries are going to have to start paying a heck of a lot more for. And when the bakery has to pay more for it, it gets passed along to usually the end consumer here. Now, I want us to look here. So if they just do the same thing they did last year, those exact same goods are going to cost over $820 million more for the exact same stuff. And so no bakery is going to be able to take that all on. And what that means is, for the most part, that is going to get passed on to you. And so when we saw these things announced last Wednesday, which was Mall of America Day #1 for me, we saw the stock market do this right here. This right there is last Wednesday. And it has kind of fallen off ever since then. And so last Wednesday, last Thursday, last Friday, we saw the market kind of just, free fall here. And if I look in the last 5 days, what am I showing here? This is the past month. In the last month, we're down 11.5% on the S&P 500. That is a big change in 1 month's time. When I look year to date, because we started to see these tariffs come out in late February. That's where this, it's kind of right here. It's where we started to see that decrease. It was pretty gradual up until last Wednesday when we had that big decrease. Year to date, we're down 15%. Now, this bothers a lot of people, and this becomes, this is something that people focus on, and they get really nervous about it. And we don't like it here in our office either. Like, this is not something that we're excited by, but it is something that we actually have come to expect, and you come to plan for, and you come to understand that. Because this next one here, this is the last 5 years. If I look over the last 5 years, the same index, the S&P 500, is up 78%. Now, over that time period, and I copied and pasted this with this graphic in a bad spot here, but when we look at this, it is not a linear line. We had a good couple years here. 2022 was a rough year. 2023, 2024 were good. We have these ups and these downs that happen throughout time. And now, I think what we're seeing today, more than we've ever seen in the past, is we're seeing our political world become so entangled that people are looking at this very differently. We're seeing more concern now from our clients than we've seen in a long time. I'd say we've got more phone calls in the last month than we've had really in all of 2008, 2009 with the financial crisis, all of the corona pandemic of March and April of 2020. And so people are looking at this because they think that there's something very different going on here. And there's a lot of volatility out there. We have always said that President Trump is going to bring volatility into it here. Now, I still don't think the tariffs are the right thing. I think that the tariffs are going to really hurt us. But I also feel like we will get through this. And I think, you saw on Monday, Dave, was kind of funny on our team Zoom we have in the morning. All of a sudden, we're watching the markets open on Monday morning, and we're talking about what's happening on them. And all of a sudden, Sean lets out this little whoa, and you're like, everything okay, buddy? And he's like, yeah, the markets just spiked like crazy. And what happened was there was some false news that came out of the White House that talked about the fact that they might pause these tariffs. And the market shot up, one of the biggest rises you've ever seen in history, the quickest. And it was simply because they thought these tariffs were going away. So there's still lots of good underlying fundamentals underneath going on right now. And we think that these tariffs, as we get through them, hopefully we can get back to the growth pattern that we've been used to here. Do you have something to say? You're sitting upright. You have this posture about you,
No, every once in a while I look at myself in camera and be like, oh, my mom would be so disappointed, so I fix it really quick. Bex, you don't want to get her mad.
You don't. No.
Definitely
not. This next slide that I want to show you I showed this exact slide a month ago. And this is the pain versus pleasure curve. This comes from Dr. Daniel Kahneman. When you look about how much a pleasure feels good, and so this is a gain in your portfolio. And so if I look out here, these are gains, and the left is losses, and this is value. So this is how good you feel, good going up and bad going down. And what I look at here is a $100 gain. It feels good. But the more you earn, the gain doesn't feel as good to people. It almost becomes expected. It's kind of like, we give our kids a treat after dinner most nights. Now this treat is like one cookie or something small, but it's no longer a treat. It is now something that they've just come to expect. Mm-hmm. And so, this feeling good. Now, the nights that we tell them they can't have it, you'd think, oh, no big deal. They get it every single night.
All hell breaks loose.
It is we've just cut off their tongues. And
such ingrates.
Such ingrates, those children. But this, you look at that loss feels so much worse. So it's the exact same amount of money, but the way that feels, it feels substantially worse than the gain feels good. And we have to understand that because that's what's happening right now. We just went through 5 years of giant gains. Now, it's not like people go, ooh, great, we had these giant gains. They feel so good. What happens is we have these giant gains and you become used to it. It becomes normal. And then we have losses like this and it really freaking hurts. And we have to understand that that's what's happening to us here. I've got some good news. This is a new slide.
Potentially good news.
Potentially, yeah. It's potentially good news. This came from the Carson Investment Research. And what I look out here, it says from 1950 and through today, when we've had two giant 2-day negative returns. So last week we had Wednesday, Thursday, two of the biggest loss days in a row here. You can see it right there. And when we have these giant 2-day negative returns, generally following that, the S&P is positive. And so when I look forward, 1 month out, we've been pretty positive. 3 months out, it was really only 2008 that was negative, the big financial crisis. So what I'm showing here is just because it happened, the same is true as the same thing we always tell people as the money market, as the market's going up, it's not always going to go up. The same is true as it's going down, it's not always going to go down. And we have to realize a couple of those things. And something we always tell people here is, we've had bad news before. We've had all sorts of unprecedented things. People like to, there's a lot of people, I talk about this political hatred that goes on here. And, one party hating the other party, and both parties are completely at fault on this one. But we're at such a level right now that people say this is unprecedented. We've never gone through this again. Well, look at all these unprecedented things that we've had in the past. The internet was born, 9/11 occurred, we've had this global financial crisis, COVID occurred, Brexit, we had pretty much Britain say they were going to leave the European Union from a financial standpoint. And we completely, as a society and as an economy, we recover and we move forward, and these things happen. This slide again, that last slide and this one were both shown last month. There is something about being in the market, because we don't know when the ups and downs are going to occur. And this is why we set up your portfolio, so that you can be in the market and retire at the same time and not have to worry about where your income's coming from. And so what this is showing here is this is January of 05 through December of 04, or 2024. So this is a 20-year time period. And if you were invested that whole time, if you took $10,000 and put it into the S&P 500 over that time period, you would have averaged 8.3% over that time period. That's a pretty good average as we look through it. But if you would have missed just the 10 best days, which the best days usually follow the worst days. And so if you miss the 10 best days, your return gets cut in half. If you miss the 20 best days, you now are earning less than cash. And if you miss the 30 best days over the last 20 years, so that's over 7,000 days, if you just miss 20 of them, you actually have a negative return. And this is why we talk about being invested is so important. And you have to understand that feeling. Now, this is a new slide. I just found this one. This is looking at 2008 and 2020. And if you see, this looks like a baseball schedule, like home and away.
Yeah.
But what you see there, those red days are big down days in the market. And you can see the lighter red is closer to -2, the darker red is -12. And the green are positive days in the market, the same thing. So what you can see is how often those extreme positive days follow those negative days. And when we decide, hey, just to pull out of the market, this is where we have a problem. Now,
really quick, I like how you reference baseball calendar. There's this phrase we use with the kids in baseball, and it is a kid makes an error, right? They get all down on themselves. Well, baseball karma, the baseball gods, the very next play, the ball is coming to them. And I kid you not, we've had 3 games this season, and it's happened at least once per game. Happened to my son. He made an error. He was all down on himself. Next play, hit right to him. So very similar.
Look at that.
I know. How about that?
Oh, man, that actually made sense, too. I'm proud of you.
No respect. No respect. Move on.
I got a picture here. I got a picture.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good old Benny.
I am a huge believer that your money is not a piece of artwork. It's not something that we look at. It's not something we're going to hang on the wall and say, ooh, look how big my money's getting. That's a big $100 bill right there.
It is. Is that AI?
No, it's Google Images.
Perfect.
Yeah. So this is not, we don't think of your money as artwork. We think of your money as there to serve a purpose for you. It's there to drive income. And so as we talk about the markets going up and they go down, and I reference back to my father, is what he said earlier, is retirement planning is income planning. Retirement planning is making sure that you have the money no matter what happens. And that's why as we structure your portfolio, we want you to be in the market. We want you to experience the ups of the market. But you also are going to have to deal with some of those downs of the market. Now, that being said, you're going to spend your money no matter what. And so that's why we position some of your assets in what we call the foundation of the fiscal house, that you can spend it no matter what happens in the market. And when we do those things, that's when you have the most freedom to make retirement the best part of your life. But we do realize that things like this can be stressful, and they can cause you to start thinking about, are you doing the right thing? And I will tell you, right now is a great time to look and say, this is why we follow the fundamentals. This is why, as Dave says in baseball, the ball's coming right back to you. And so if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you're not a client of ours and you're not positioned in the way that you can retire no matter what happens in the market, now would be a great time to actually get in touch with us or somebody like us that can help you make that position. But if you're a client of ours and you say, hey, I understand what you're saying, but I'm still super nervous, this is a great time to reach out. We can talk about your specific situation at any point in time.
Should they reach out to me personally?
If they want to talk about Landon's baseball, that'd be a great person to talk to.
Perfect.
But no, I'd highly suggest talking to your advisor that you work with on a very regular basis.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, Josh, so how are we doing over here? Now would be a great time. So I have about 20% of our fine folks watching have hit that like button. I got to ask you again. Let's get all y'all. Just click the like button for me. It really helps. Plus, I like my job, and Josh is like, we need more likes. So it helps me too. Appreciate that. No?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, excellent. We're going to go with some live questions. If you have them, please post them right there in the YouTube chat. I did get one question submitted ahead of time. I don't know if it's too general or whatnot, but with all the ridiculous tariffs and whatnot, we have people worried about their shrinking value of their 401s. Are there alternative instruments that they should be looking at, or should you just ride it out?
Well, I'm glad that person listened and watched today's Java with Josh, because I'm never going to tell people just ride it out. I understand that you need to be able to sleep at night. And I hope that if you're working with us, that you do feel comfortable that you can watch the money go up and down, and you know that your retirement is going to be completely safe. If you're not, I completely understand. Maybe you do need to make a change, or maybe your risk tolerance that we work so hard to look into isn't what you think it is. And so that is when we should make those adjustments. If the pain is so much that you can't operate, that's when we need to make a change. But no.
All right. Appreciate that, Josh. Today's summary. You ready for it?
Yeah, I am. I'm excited for it.
You should be excited. So first of all, I realized that Happy Hour Josh cannot just be about mojitos. I'm going to make avocado bread and prove to you that it's a useful fruit. It's
going to cost a heck of a lot more, though.
It's going to be like so much more expensive. Look, this is an easy summary, guys. It's pretty much the same as it's been in the last few months, right? We're prepared for this. You're prepared for this. No knee-jerk reactions. Josh has proven, or he has shown. You haven't proved it. You haven't done it yourself. You've shown the market recovers.
Yeah. Now, our compliance people are going to say that past performance is no guarantee of future results.
100%.
But it also will say that we can't let emotions control what we're doing here. So
and emotions are running very high right now.
They are.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna put this question up on the screen, and I've mentioned a few times I cannot remove last names from these questions. So I hope that you are okay with this. If not, I guess it's better to ask for forgiveness and permission. Chuck asks, we think we're making most of it by doing Roth conversions now. Thoughts?
Roth conversions are a great timing right now. So as we look at this, we do talk about taking advantage of the market when situations like this occur. The last time something big like this occurred was 2020, March of 2020, and we had that big drop. And Roth conversions, this is a great time to do Roth conversions if you have the ability to. They're not right for everybody as that goes into play. You don't want to do a Roth conversion just because the market's down, but if Roth conversions are part of your plan, now would be a great time. Now, there's a lot of people, we don't know what the market holds into the future. So a lot of times when we have markets like this, we'll actually do some Roth conversions throughout the year. We'll do some different planning with Roth conversions. But this is something that we're looking at here in our office as we speak, actually.
Great question, Chuck. Thank you for that. A few more people hitting like. That's awesome. I think that's all for live questions.
Cool.
If you guys are typing right now and we don't get to your question, go ahead and submit it to info@fsrwealth.com, and we can personally respond to you. Not me personally, but this guy over here will do it. Again, thank you for all the likes. That's awesome. You guys are the best. Over 50% have hit that like button. So I'm happy with that.
I just looked at my watch. We went a little bit long today.
Yeah, it's a really important time. I think people appreciate it. It's a little peace of mind, Josh. So I know that I'm saying thank you on their behalf.
Oh, that's great. I'm sure it was the Mall of America talk that really made it happy.
Oh, yes, and the pictures of Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And stay tuned. We are getting back to our happy hour with Josh. I'm going to make sure of it. It's going to be a monthly thing.
Sure.
Yeah?
We're really good at that.
We're great at it.
The only thing we've done monthly for a long time is this.
Cheers.
Shining bright and it's going my way. Birds in the sky and I'm singing it loud. Love is all around and I'm flowing away with you.